Morning, everybody. It is April 18th, 2018. I haven't done a video in a while, but I was spending some time with God this morning, and I felt led to share this with you. I told you a little bit about my story and the new person that I'm with, which is actually an old person. We were together like 14 years ago, but we got back together about 10 months ago. Well, when we first got back together, you know, I was in a really bad place. I hadn't started going back to church or meetings or anything, and you know, I was living from place to place. I just left my last husband, and we separated, and it was just a real hard time for me, you know. Anyway, in July of last year, I had gotten angry at my now boyfriend. When we first got back together, he was really, really bad off on drugs, of all sorts, you know, hard drugs, heroin, meth, spice, you know, anything he could get his hands on, pills, you know, and that was a real struggle for me because, you know, like I told you in my last video, it was alcohol for me. You know, that was my go-to, alcohol and pills. Well, there was a misunderstanding, and he was supposed to meet me somewhere, and he didn't show up, and I thought he was out, you know, messing off and lying to me about it and whatnot. Well, I got angry. I came home, and I packed all my stuff. Well, came back to his house. Packed all my stuff, and I had been drinking a lot that day. And I got in my truck, and was going down Highway 90 towards Pensacola to go to my sister's house. And I got pulled over. Okay? Now, I had just had a DUI, like, not even a year prior to that. Okay? So, it was, you know, not good. And, anyway, I get pulled over, and, you know, I was intoxicated. I was. Well, I had taken some of my pills out of my bottle of narcotics that was prescribed to me. I'd been on them for 2 years, something like that, 2 or 3 years. And I separated 20 of them and put them in a cellophane, and they were in my little card holder right there because they were for somebody else. And I had gotten 2 Percocet 10s from a friend of mine, and they were in my back seat, okay, hidden underneath all my stuff. And I got pulled over, and they charged me with a DUI and some Ativan that I had in my purse that was also prescribed to me, but I didn't hardly ever take them for my anxiety. And, you know, I hardly ever took them. But the label was worn off of them. So, anyways, they take me to jail. Oh, and a concealed weapon charge. They take me to jail, okay? Now, I'm losing my shit in the back of the cop car. You know, I'm acting a fool, kicking the door, freaking out. And all I could think about was him. You know, if I go to jail, you know, he's just going to go right back down the tubes, and it's going to get worse, and he's going to kill himself, and, you know, all these things were going through my mind at the time. I wasn't even concerned about myself, which was not good. You know, I should have been more focused on me, but he was my main concern. Well, you know, I get to the jailhouse, and they ask me, you know, are you suicidal? You know, and I was drunk, and at this point I was like, you know what, I don't know at this point. So they give me a paper smock, and they put me in an isolation cell with another chick who was also in a paper smock. Very uncomfortable, cold, You feel naked. The thing's ripping. It's falling off of me. You know, it's a horrible episode. Anyways, I sat in this cell from 7 o'clock that evening until 3 o'clock in the morning, not knowing what my charges were. Okay, they searched my truck, you know, and everything. So I'm sitting there and I'm crying and I'm praying and I'm like, God, I'm so sorry. You know, I screwed up and all of this and that. And anyways, at 3 o'clock in the morning, after all of this praying and all this crying and all the just self-searching and begging God and everything. Anyways, they told me what my charges were. Well, I got charged with a DUI, the controlled substance for the Ativan that was in my purse, and a concealed weapon because I had a knife on me. And, but they did not find the pills. They did not find any of them. And they put me back in my cell, and I hit my knees, and I cried, and I said, thank you, God. Because, I mean, I don't know how many of you know this, but it's a felony for every pill that's not yours. Okay, so, you know, I mean, I had a prescription, but I would have gotten charged with an intent to sell because they were separated from the bottle. And then I would have been charged with 2 felonies for the Percocets that I had. And I hit my knees, you know, and I thanked God, and I said, you know, thank you, God. Thank you, thank you. So, anyways, my boyfriend bailed me out, and thank God. You know, yeah. So, anyway, he bailed me out, and it was this long process of going back to court and going back to court. I got a public defender. Well, when I got to court the last time, my public defender told me that the cop that had arrested me had been fired, and all of my charges were dropped. Okay? God is real, and He's there, and He loves you, and He knows your heart. So there's just no other way to explain that to me. You can't tell me it wasn't Him. I've seen Him too many times in my life, and that's how He works. You know, He knows my heart. He knows my heart's good. I make mistakes. I screw up. You know, we all do. The life that I've lived, it's hard to get out of habits. It's hard to break habits. But you know what? God is a chain breaker. And now I'm doing good. I've been sober for 5 months, something like that. So, you know, He can, and He will. But you got to ask Him, and you got to mean it, you know? I felt like I needed to share that story with y'all. It's just another time that God's shown up in my life, and He just keeps on showing up. But you got to have faith, and you got to trust Him. He's good, man. He is. So I just want to share that with y'all. Have a blessed day. See you next time.